Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing a solo lane only tier list. So this is just going to be a tier list for just solo lane characters, ones that I think are viable. And kind of with this game being pretty open in the solo lane, you have mage metas, backline metas, some assassin picks that kind of are threading in between, and obviously tanks and stuff. There's a lot of different picks that are like viable. You could argue some of these are a little bit less or more viable, and obviously that's why we have tiers for it. But yeah, on the right here, this god pool, Agni to Umoja, I just don't really consider these gods viable in solo. That doesn't mean they're bad characters or anything, or in theory you couldn't run them in the role, but usually, if not exclusively, these gods are always better somewhere else. And you can kind of make the argument for some of the picks here, absolutely, like Hunbats, which we'll get to. But I wanted to make sure, like, I clarified that because, like, Kali, for example, she's such a strong character right now in the game. Could you play her solo and do very well? Yes, but that's her third most viable role, if not fourth. So that's not to me really like reasonable. I look at it as all of these gods, either their best role is solo or their second best role is solo, and there's not really a debate for that. So yeah, we'll just kind of get started. We're going to go in alphabetical order here, and obviously left to right does matter. And with Achilles, again, this is in a solo vacuum, so I want to be very clear. I could have a character, let's say, in D tier, or excuse me, that's probably a bad example. I can have a character in A tier on this list, and maybe he's B tier on the overall list because I'm looking at like different contexts and stuff. Because I do value like a character being flexible and those things. I just want to keep, I want you to like keep that in mind. So you can kind of see my reasoning. But anyways, we'll kind of just get straight into it. Achilles, we're going to put into A tier. He is, again, A tier is kind of good. S tier is great. B tier, kind of mediocre. C tier, bad. F tier, don't play ever. They're just horrible. Achilles is a very strong pick in terms of pressure and fight. I really think the big contention point with him is his lack of safety. When you look at, and we have a great video on this channel reacting to Weekend's Elo Hell, where it was an Achilles player, and I was really hammering down on his build because he was building full tank Achilles, no damage items at all. And what you'll find with Achilles is that he's a very unsafe character. Um, and because of that, what I mean by unsafe, I mean in the lane, he just doesn't have a lot of escape tools in comparison to other characters with how far pushed up he has to play. So generally speaking, you're a pretty easy gank, right? And because of that, you're kind of inclined to build a lot of defense, and that's bad because if you build too much defense, you have no damage, your wave clear really sucks. So usually what you kind of do to work around this is you'll rush Pendulum Blade on Achilles. That's a kind of big, easy pickup. But the problem with that is if you go Axe into Pendulum Blade and you're already a somewhat unsafe character, as Achilles is, you're really liable to getting ganked. That being said, that's really his bad point. His fight is very good in the lane, it's just his safety from ganks is pretty questionable. Once you get out of the laning phase, assuming you do decently, because your fight again is good and you should be okay overall most of the time, your late game is incredible. You're extremely tanky, you scale very well, he uses the items right now very good. So overall, Achilles is a really solid pick. You just have to be a little bit mindful for the early, that's all. Aladdin, I'm going to put in the B tier. I think this god is, maybe one of the ones I would break for. I think you could argue his second best role is solo or jungle. His best role is definitely mid. The thing with Aladdin solo is I'm generally speaking in this tier list going to rate backline solos a little bit lower. Not always, but more often than not. And it really just comes in the fact that these characters can get frozen on very easily. Not all of them, but some of them can. Or they can get harassed. Or, kind of most importantly, when we look at like late game viability of this solo pick or even mid to late game viability, the truth of the matter is in Smite, having two frontliners is extremely impactful and valuable, and you don't always need two frontliners, but what I'm saying is typically a team with, let's say, a random guardian support and a warrior solo laner will be better than a comp with a random support and a mage solo laner. Now, that might not always translate the best in like mid to lower levels of play, and even at a high level, if you play the backliners extremely well, you can be comparable or even better. But there's like a level of skill and kind of talent, and that's usually a disparity that you need to perform that consistently. That makes backline solos typically less viable overall. There's a huge propaganda thing. This tier list is trying to dissuade that a little bit that backline solos are broken and all this stuff. That's just garbage. It's not true. It's a skill issue. I've talked about it plenty of times. I'll try to make some videos on how to deal with them a little bit more specifically, but yeah, overall, just like completely false. So yeah, Aladdin B tier, still a good character. I mean, the value from the pick is so strong that you can make him work, but just a little bit weaker because again, he doesn't really have some of the best tools to deal with a lot of these tankier picks in the lane. Amaterasu, we're gonna sadly put in C. This character is really bad right now in solo, and it's largely due to itemization. For Ama to work in solo lane, you need to build her full damage and basically just go jungle build. And the fact of the matter is, if you do a full damage build, you may as well play jungle. There's no advantage of playing this character solo over jungle, and she's really not even great in solo, excuse me. Because you go her solo, you're gonna be losing a lot of trades to like mages most of the time, frontliners most of the time. It's just really a bad time. Is one of my most played picks and find her basically unplayable right now. Um, Anubis is going to go up into the S tier. I know I said typically mages won't make it. There are exceptions. With this character, it's just a thing about Bloodbound Book and Typhons. You rush those two items with Conduit. You can go Shell, you can go Beads, you could go Blink. Typically, Shell is what I recommend. And you kind of just like have so much pressure, sustain, healing, and damage that you can, I don't know, kind of just break the game. You're good into most backline solos. If you play into a Hades or something, it's toast. And you're good into most of the frontliners. Yes, you can get frozen on and all this stuff, but you have so much burst damage, and the character's just so easy that there's like literally no downside of picking this character. I mean, he's literally like always good, especially in ranked. I am using this for comp and ranked as a meter stick, but especially for ranked, this pick is just OP. Aphrodite is pretty bad. I'll put her in C tier behind Ama. I kind of want to put her lower. Yeah, I'm gonna put her lower. I think Aphra solo is just completely useless. There's no reason to play this character. Her pressure's not good enough. Her fight's not good enough. Her healing's not good enough. The god's good in support. She's okay in mid. Really not a great solo laner. I would just stay away from her. Apollo with aspect is gonna go up to S tier. Again, this character really kind of breaks the mold of the game because of how he's designed. Where when you use the aspect, obviously now you're scaling off of health, so you build full tank Apollo and for whatever reason you outdamage people while being tankier than them and you also outclear them. It's like a really weird, awful combo, and the thing is just broken. Laning phase wise, it basically has no counters. This god is incredibly safe, incredibly good pressure and fight. Really strong into frontliners. It's a little bit worse than a backliners. I'd be inclined sometimes to put it into A tier if you're laning into a backliner in solo, but even then, I mean, that's a couple of picks. By and large, this god is one of the best solos in the game. And you can make an argument to some that he is the best. Aries, we're going to put in B tier. I'm going to put him ahead of Aladdin. With Aries, you just have to be a little bit mindful of your matchups and just patient as to whether or not you'll actually play him. I think this god works best when you're queued with a support who you can hand this pick off to, just in case if you really dislike your matchup. I think matchups you really will dislike are gods like Anubis. I mean, it's literally unplayable. You just can't do much into it. But if you are playing Aries and let's say you're in a very bad matchup, or even if you're in a lane that you just feel like you really have no potential to fight in, I think Aries is one of the gods in the game that can go the Selflessness relic, or starter, excuse me, which you'll get passive gold. It's kind of like old Guardian's Blessing, if you remember that from Smite 1 back in like Season 6. The idea is just that you'll get gold off of minions even if they die to tower, even if you don't last hit them. You won't get all the gold, but you'll get some bonus gold, so it really kind of helps. And then the upgraded Selflessness to whatever it's called is one of the best starter items in the game, so you really lose nothing. I mean, Ares really solid with that selflessness starter item shove. If you don't go that and you want to go something more aggressive, more to fight, you go Bluestone or Axe. I prefer Bluestone, but his lanes are generally speaking okay, and then you always have that fail safe. His fighting is incredible. This guy is just very good right now. It's just about like kind of, is there a reason for me to be putting this Ares in solo instead of support? The answer is usually no, but you'll find, let's say you have a draft where like you can get, say, a Ymir and you really like the Ymir matchup in support. You just put the Ymir in support, take the Aries, and you really starve their support out of a pick, especially if you ban a god like Sobek. So that's usually where you'll see the Aries like case value for most consistently, but he's definitely a very good character. Athena is going to go into the A tier right ahead of Achilles. Um, she is a safe character in the laning phase because she has an ultimate to get out, very much like Thor-esque. And her laning phase is actually pretty decent right now. You go Bluestone on her, you can go Triton's Conch first. Generally speaking, gods that can go Triton's Conch well tend to feel pretty damn good, who would have thought? And yeah, her laning phase is solid. I mean, it's not the best in the world, but you can kind of get away with playing a more kind of PvE playstyle on this character in the laning phase. Farm pretty decently. You can always get teleport rotations, obviously on the side TPs, and have a lot of value just because of the dash taunt combo. And then obviously the Athena ult itself just gives you a great team fighting dynamic. The fact that this character, just like Aries, can burn beads super well, uh, always will give her like some kind of value. I think where Athena gets better than Aries in solo lane specifically, though not in support, is that her laning phase is just a lot safer and a lot less bumpy. You won't have to ever really go anything besides Bluestone on Athena because you can count on your laning phases to be pretty solid, I would say. Bacchus, we're going to put into C tier. I'm going to put him behind Amma. I think this character with Aspect is garbage. I think it's borderline unplayable. If you want to go Bacchus without Aspect and you play him like a stand-up, just straight-up regular solo, he's okay. I mean C tier, I suppose maybe doesn't signify okay, but I'm trying to give him some juice here. Yeah, the character is just kind of a bit flat in solo lane. There's just a lot of better picks. If you're maxing your belch, the burp, you're gonna really get messed up if that can get canceled. And if you max the flop and you're flopping in, obviously losing a lot of safety. So kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think this god can function well into some guardians like Cerberus. Okay, I guess. But even then, there's really no reason to pick Bacchus. You're going to go a full tank build, and there's just better gods to do a full tank build with. You could go like one damage item in between with Mystical, maybe. It's just not worth it. I don't know. Baron, another C tier pick. This god is really good in the game in support, not in solo lane. Obviously, he's got an aspect coming out, as does Pele, who isn't even on this list. We'll see how that affects them in solo, if at all. But as it stands, Baron is pretty not great. I think he's kind of viable just because he's got a lot of CC, and because the character is so good in support, and because the character has so much good counter pick potential, there is a world where you can pick Baron and have like really good value even in solo. It's pretty niche and like not expected, but like for example, if you have a game where like Baron support's really good, and very similar to the Ares thing, you're just trying to like starve out trade supports, get the pick, and then you move the Baron to support and you get like a Sobek or something, it can work. Again, it's very like niche and weird, but big picture, probably don't play this. I wouldn't play anything in C or F tier. Bologna, we're gonna put in C tier, probably ahead of Baron, behind Bacchus. I'll put him ahead of Bacchus. Yeah, a bad pick as well. I mean, Bologna's just not good. It's the same issue as Amma. You're better off building full damage. If you do, don't play the god solo. There's not really a good point. She's very unsafe. There's like some bugs with her that made her a little bit better, but I think they got patched. And even with the bugs, like bugged Bologna was like B tier, and yeah, I don't know. She's just not a good god. It's just there aren't really auto attack solo lane items in the game. They're all jungle ADC based, and at that point, like they just aren't functionally strong at all. Yeah, these guys suck. Cabrakan, really good character. This is going to go up in the S tier above Anubis. This character, just from a frontlining perspective, is so solid. Really good laning phase. Actually very safe because you don't typically need to use your one to fight at all, unless you really want to and you're already winning the fight at that point. I like going Bluestone Rush on this character, building basically full tank with Pendulum. Your lanes feel good, your safety feels good, your team fighting's incredible. I think also what's really nice is this god virtually never gets banned, so if you want to like literally just play Kabrak in every game, which is actually pretty fun. I'm kind of a fan of this pick. By all means you can, and you're gonna have a great time. Cerberus is a weird one. I actually really like Cerb, and I'm kind of on the impression that Cerb is pretty slept on. I'm going to put him at the top of 8 here. There's really like two big reasons for this. Number one, his matchups into some of the top picks are really not bad. So you look at like let's withstand from Apollo because yeah, that's not a good one. But and you'll see in as more of the characters come in. But you look at this the Cabrakan matchup, like what does Cabrakan really typically do into soul laners? Kind of just beats them up and fights them. Not really able to do that into Serb. Why? Because Serb has such a good jump, escape, and kind of back away. That doesn't mean that Serb wins this lane or anything, but he survives it. How does Anubis typically become so overwhelming? Healing. How does Mordred become so overwhelming? Healing. And what does Serb have? Anti-heal built into his kit as well as safety. I think he just finds himself lending really well into a lot of the top picks. If you're in a matchup where you can go aspect on Serb, you're going to kind of fry people. And also magical defense is just like bad in this game typically. So first item magical defense rushes, not great. Serb has sneaky strong damage, especially with a bluestone rush. Your autos hit pretty hard, your abilities hit hard. A really good character. Actually, I'm really high on Serb. I'll have more Serb videos soon. Chalk we're gonna put right above Serb in the A tier. This character is just by and large one of the better solo inners in the game. Big picture, I think the value you have from him is just that your uh, aspect lets you kind of do what Apollo does, where it's like you can build basically full tank and still farm fast. Now, you don't farm as fast as, maybe an Apollo would on a god like Chalk if you build a literally pure full tank, assuming, you go like Axe or something, which you shouldn't. But if you go Bluestone, you're going to farm faster probably than an Apollo, and your fight is still really good, not as good, obviously, but really strong. I think the big difference between Chalk and Smite 2 and Smite 1, and this is something that's really going to help you if you're trying to improve on this character. Not that he's very hard, but people do struggle with him, is kind of understanding that with Chalk, his 2 is bad, right? So in Smite 1, Chalk 2 was the best, like, probably ability in the game, damn near. Got so many prots, and the whole, like, purpose of playing the character was you would 1 in, and then you would 2 in, and then that was kind of it. Then you would just keep fighting and you were invincible. In this game, the 2 is based off of your intelligence scaling. So the point is with Chalk in this game is you go aspect and you kind of just 1 and then use the rain, and you basically just play space control. You full commit a lot less. It's a lot more about just zoning with a slow that bleeds, does poison damage, and bluestone procs. And you're just kind of like more so this like creeping force and storm that's willing to go in but never actually does. You kind of just like pretend to go in a lot of the time and create a lot of separation. Then obviously have the awesome ult if you actually do need to. So that's really the big adjustment. But again, this character is phenomenal, very easy, very strong. Just have to keep that in mind. Cupid's solo is, either with aspect or without. Not really a pick I'm super fond of. I think it's okay. Um, I'm gonna probably put at the top of C tier. I just don't think this pick really works against decent players. I don't know. I usually when I see Cupid do well, it's like this guy's just clearly better than the other guy. But the healing stuff, I mean, you're a healer that's like a backliney god. If you go aspects, and your damage and stuff is still like fine, but I don't know. It just doesn't really lend itself too well. I mean, there's a world that you can make it work. I'm not really a huge fan of like auto attack hunters solo. Again, Apollo is with aspect. I just don't really think they're great. They're probably the worst like backliner thing you could run. Fenrir, we're gonna put in B tier above Aries. This god's laning phase is actually quite good with Death Soul, but he can struggle really hard into certain frontliners like Sobek. He can also really hard struggle into some of the backliners. At times, the thing is with him is if you rush damage to clear efficiently, you're pretty volatile, and that can mean you die a lot. And if you rush defense, sometimes you clear a little bit too slow, and it doesn't necessarily feel great to do either, especially if you're into a higher pressure pick. I tend to recommend rushing a defense item, then going into a damage item, then going like triple defense, one more damage, and end it with the defense. But it's a little bit hard to kind of get all those pieces together sometimes. Obviously, go Death Toll, which is not the best starter out there. And if people go an early tier 1 Ankh or just an early Ankh in general, you can really find your lanes to be pretty tough. The thing is with this guy is he's so good in jungle, there's kind of no point to ever play him in solo, but he's still okay. Geb is very bad. There's no reason you should play Geb. I'm going to put him in the F tier. At least he's better than Afro. This aspect is trash, and yeah, you're going to lose all your pressure in the world, get really far behind. Your utility as a team fighter is nice, but I mean, this guy's just bad, period. You should play him support if you do, but yeah, don't play him. Guan Yu, I'm going to put in B tier ahead of Fenrir. This character's upside is like S tier. His downside is damn near F tier. I think what's really tough about like making this character good is that he's really bad into a lot of the backline solos. So like Anubis, Hades, Apollo, some of these other gods you'll see later, really can struggle into. And as a result, when a god feels nearly unplayable into like half the damn roster, that's really rough. That being said, if you're in a matchup that feels okay or you kind of get a nice start with an early gank or whatever, you're rolling, and this character has one of the best late games in the game. You just have to kind of get there, which can be brutal. You can choose to go aspect or not. It's up to you on that, but yeah, definitely just like a very risky pick, and I'm not a huge fan of that. If you know your matchup ahead of time, it can definitely be pretty salvageable, but you just need to know it, and that's scary and also like not the best. But his upside is so high, I have to put him still here. Hades is going to go into the A tier, behind Athena or ahead of Athena? I think ahead of Athena. This character, I think, has fallen off a decent bit. He struggles a lot into some of the backline solos that have high pressure, into the low pressure backline solos like Scylla. I think he can do pretty well in terms of just out farming you. But if you're into a higher pressure pick like Anubis or even into some of these higher pressure frontliners, I've made videos about it. You just kind of get froze on. You can't walk up, and a lot of the viability's gone. Where Hades does have a lot of salvage points, is most the mage solos that are just kind of farmy and stuff can't really engage. Even on a pick like Anubis, who has like better engage than most mages, even though that's a weird thing to say, you're not like getting in there, so to speak. Where a character like Hades, you can actually start the fight, and that's like very frontline esque. So you can kind of cheat and play a full damage solo and still be able to like frontline engage, so to speak, with Hades, which lends him to be a pretty good pick. You go Bloodbound on him, you go full damage, you can go Helm of Darkness, and he's very solid for sure. Hecate, this pick is kind of a bit of a meme pick. She's terrible. I really like this god. It's one of my favorite gods in the game, but yeah, Hecate solo is really bad. If you go aspect, she's probably the worst thing. She's probably on the, non-viable thing at all, but I'll put her in F tier. Behind or above Geb, probably ahead of Geb. Um, yeah, you go Bluestone on her, and it's like kind of okay at times with just the auto text and the range, but she takes so long to get online and do reasonable damage, and she's not safe enough to really survive how big the lane is. So if you're off on the sides, you get ganked, you're dead. And there's not really much you could do about it. I really love this pick, but realistically, it's just kind of a meme pick and not any good. Hercules is bad. I think this god is garbage. I'll put him above these. I'd put him at the top of C tier. I think the only like saving thing for him is you can go like Serrated Edge. That's really nice. But besides that, I don't see any reason of playing Hercules. He's just not a good character. He's good in jungle. You build him full damage. You can't do that in solo. Just no good. His lanes suck. Really rough into a lot of the mages. And yeah, that's a problem. You can't be rough into the mages as a warrior and expect to be played. Mulan. Gonna be at the backside of C tier. I'll put her like right here. She deals with the Achilles issue just like to the 30,000th degree, where her safety is so bad that she can just kind of like die 1,000 times, and her upside isn't as good as Achilles because her late game's not as great. In a world where you're not getting camped, which you always should be, this character is not the worst. But there's literally no reason to play this god. Like, literally ever. Her plus ones are terrible. The banner, that's enough. And, I mean, yeah, this god sucks. We know that. So, Hunbat's aspect, right? This is with aspect. You could go non-aspect, but I'm going to say with aspect. I'm going to put as a solid B tier, right ahead of Fenrir and Aries. This god has just a lot of utility in CC, obviously. His lanes are actually decent. You can scale pretty well with him. He's a really fun pick, very underplayed in the solo lane, but in jungle, he's one of the best gods in the game, and he kind of just lends himself to be okay in solo as a result. The god is pretty bloated, and yeah, I mean, it just helps. I don't know. He feels strong. You don't max your 2 in this lane. You go aspect, obviously, but you max your 3 first, and your fight's decent. Your jump's actually like pretty helpful for clearing and just playing evasive, and your trades are good. You scale well. I recommend kind of leaning into tanks, sort of like Fenrir, but you can build a damage item or two and feel pretty okay. Cuckoo is going to go into the B tier. I'm going to put him right ahead of Aries. I really do like this pick. I think it's solid. He's safe. The only downside is you have to go book a Thoth, but he kind of uses it so well that it's like doesn't even feel like a downside. His laning phase is very, very safe most of the time. There are some matchups, some of these more aggressive frontliners can really doom him, but if you play your space well, obviously you go Conduit, you can just farm super safe. Polynomicon is incredible on this character. He abuses it super hard. You can split push when the other solo laner rotates, get a tier 1 and a tier 2. You don't split push, you're just going to farm really well, and your teamfight rotations are really solid. Obviously, you play defensive with your backline, but a lot of upside to this pick. Very solid solo laner. Merlin as well is going to go into the B tier. I'm going to put him right behind Cuckoo. I think overall Cuckoo's a slightly better solo laner. Obviously, with this god, you go Aspect Merlin with Bluestone. The only problems with it is this god is extremely mana hungry, and you're typically not going book in these builds. So if you don't do that, and you're building the normal Merlin build, your lane, if you lose your blue, is really bad. You're going to struggle a lot. There's so many mage solos that you'll play into just in general in the game right now. Merlin, because you want to go Phoenix Shield with the Aspect build, doesn't really lend himself as well in these matchups because you're building a defense on him that's not helping you. And yeah, it's just a bit weird. It's so slow to get online. The late game of this pick is incredible, but yeah, you farm decently. Sometimes the abilities being a bit random sucks. The pick is good, but it's just better suited in mid right now overall. Or if you know your matchup in solo, you can get away with it if it's a physical and stuff a little bit better. But with how many magicals are prevalent, and also it's just again how slow this build is. Soul Reaver, which is a really core part of it, got nerfed. Yeah, definitely took a pretty big hit, but still good. Like again, this is like solid. You can still play these. Mordred, easy S tier. I think this is the best soul laner in the game pretty clearly. Lane pressure is incredible, safety is incredible, fight's incredible. Literally no downsides of this god. People say he's got a bad late game, they're just bad at the character. This god's incredible. Yeah, really nothing to say. I mean, play this god. I've got 1,000 videos on him. If you have questions in terms of like, what's a level, all this stuff, genuinely, dude, it doesn't even matter. This god is that good. And yeah, there's literally no downside of him. I think the only matchup that feels a little bit meh is like Ankh Rush characters that feel really good doing it, which is like Cerberus, Mulan, and I guess Athena. It's like this guy just OP. I don't know. Like hear the roster I just said exactly. That's enough. I mean, if Mulan is like one of the better picks into it, and it's Mulan, I mean, it's just a disaster. This god falls off so hard. So the picks that like feel, and mind you, this isn't like a counter matchup. I want to be clear. This is just a pick that can kind of scrap with it. Yeah, doesn't matter. Neith, I think, is super good. I'm going to put her in A tier right above Hades. I think this is one of the best backline solos in the game. You play her obviously full in, and you do so much damage, so much burst. There's literally no downside from a backline perspective, where some of these backliners feel like they don't have enough pressure, or it feels like they don't have enough backline utility to consistently rope them in. You could argue that for like a Cupid or something because the damage can be a little bit inconsistent, but this god, I mean, again, super simple. The Neithul value gives her value in the team fights, or in the laning phase, excuse me. If she's not rotating, obviously go Poly, you go Cersei's, you're very safe, you do a lot of damage, you build full in with Tahuti Shard. You can one-shot backliners, you can half-health frontliners at any given moment or more. And yeah, I mean, the pick's just awesome. So much pressure, such a good fight. Really solid pick overall. Nemesis, obviously with Aspect, I'm going to put in the B tier behind these characters, but above Aries. I think overall she's a really good pick. But I guess the thing with her is that I don't know. Like I just feel like you kind of don't survive that well late game when you're into a lot of anti-heal, and that's pretty common, honestly. I mean, people are going to stack anti-heal. She doesn't have the late game utility with the solo aspect builds where she goes defense to like split down a lane and do what Nemesis full pen pendulum jungle does. So she's just kind of better suited in the role. Even then, if you're into a comp that's not building that much anti-heal, you fry, and if you're able to have a laning phase into a character you can kind of just fight, you're going to be invincible, and it's awesome. So really fun pick and kind of sneaky good. It just sort of depends the lobby you're in. Nuwa is really bad. This god being played in solo and working hurts my heart. It shouldn't. She's horrible. This is one of the worst gods in the game. I'll put her in C tier behind all these characters. Behind Baron as well. I mean, this is borderline F tier. This god sucks. I think it's just people don't know how to hold waves. Yeah, she can use the fog. I get it, but you just outfarm this god by 30 million levels. It doesn't matter. She's useless. Soul, actually sneaky strong. I'm gonna put her in A tier above or behind these gods. I'm gonna put her right at A tier. The thing with this character is their pressure is literally so unbelievably OP. This is non-aspect soul. You can also go aspect soul, and your game is a little bit more well-rounded. But if you go non-aspect soul, you just bulldoze everything. Your farming speed is so incredible. You can get up 2 to 3k on like most gods in the game, literally just in the laning phase, and that alone just makes her have to be good. This is an incredible cheese pick, like better than Anubis in some ways from that component. Odin, we're gonna put in the A tier. I'm gonna put him right above Achilles. I think this character is okay. You don't see him played a lot, so I know this seems a bit weird, but what I love about Odin is he's just like this safe, overarching, solid, comfortable, good pick. Like he really never has a downside in terms of his laning phase. I know it can be a bit sketchy, but if you max the shield and just play a bit safe, you're not going to struggle into most of these mages. Your stacking ultimate thing is incredible. Just a really good look overall. Character is very solid. Poseidon, I think, is kind of one of those meme mage picks. It's not great. His aspect sucks now, so you're gonna go non-aspect, and yeah, I don't know. I just kind of put this god because people thought I know people would ask about him, but yeah, not good. Bari is very solid. We're gonna put her in A tier, right behind Hades. Her laning phase can be very strong. Her damage is very strong. It's really just about safety on this character, where if you're pushed up, it's a bit dodgy. And yeah, that's about it. But her pressure is insane. Her fight's very good. This god, if piloted well, not that I'm the best Bari, is just nuts in solo and in any role. I think maybe if I was, this might be a bit of a skill issue by me, but if I was a little bit better at this character, I think I'd put her a bit higher. I have scrims soon, guys. I'm actually late, so I'm going to try to finish this really quick. Raw aspect, non-aspect, I don't think changes much. I'm going to put him in B tier. I think the thing with this guy is he's just like kind of like Cuckoo, but a little less safe. And if you go like a full damage build and if you go an aspect build, he kind of just gets walked past, right? You can kind of just outfarm him, and he's not really a frontliner. He gives CC and utility, not really CC, but like healing and utility, but he's not really a frontliner. And aspect raw, not a huge fan of. Full damage raw, fun, but not super consistent. Kind of just tough. Better in mid, absolutely. Scylla, I think, very much goes in the same spot as Raw, where it's like pressure is just very low on this character. Like, non-aspect Raw's pressure is high, but he's so like inconsistent. Scylla's more consistent, but her pressure's so low. At least she's safe, which is really nice. I think this guy's got very good safety, but into some of these higher pressure backliners, she just gets bulldozed, so it's pretty rough. Thanatos is garbage. This character is unplayable. In my opinion, his aspect sucks. So you have to go non-aspect Thanatos, and that's so not it. I don't know. I think this character is just completely useless. I'm going to put him in F tier. I can't stand this gun in solo anymore. It sucks. Sobek, we're going to put at the top of A tier. I'm not going to put him quite in S tier because he can get out farmed, but his fighting is very good. His sustain is very good. You're never going to get soloed on this god. It's just about, can you stay up to par with some of these backliners in farming? And the answer, if you struggle a little bit in terms of target prioritization, if you build a little bit too defensive early especially, is just no. So that's really his only weakness, but the god itself is so strong. The Morrigan, we're going to put her as a solo laner in the S tier. This character is incredibly broken, just super easy laning phase. The aspect literally makes this god one of the most brain dead picks in the world. Competitively, she's probably lower, but with how like funky and awkward this god's aspect is and how strong it is, I'll put it behind Anubis. But yeah, it's just miserable. If you pick like half the gods into it, you just can't fight. She's not as good into backliners, but if you're picking a frontliner into her, it's basically just cooked. I think Mordred functions okay, but the rest of these gods, Chalk's also fine. But I don't know, a lot of these picks just don't feel good. She's so safe, one shots, all the waves. There's the totem bug. She insta kills totems. It's just a mess. This god is a complete mess with aspect. Thor, we're gonna put in the S tier. This is a pretty obvious one. I'm gonna put him right here, or actually right above Cab. This god's pressure is insane. His clear is so powerful. His value into team fights, rotating everything. I mean, he's the quintessential soul lane god with aspect. and it's just an awesome look overall. There's literally no downside to this god. He's my most played god on this YouTube channel, so tells you enough. Uller, just like I was talking about with the other hunters, there's just no point of playing him. Ability-based hunters are bad right now. Again, I would stay away from them overall. Vulcan with Aspect I think is good, but it's mostly just an annoying pick. I'd put him in B tier, right ahead of Merlin behind Cuckoo. At the very least, they're tanky, which is nice, but you don't really engage. A lot of the Vulcan support value is pressure that actually translates to Gold Furies. A lot of the Vulcan solo pressure is pressure that translates to being annoying. It's still valuable, but it's not nearly as impactful as it is in support. And I honestly, he's just a little bit better in support. He's a lot better in mid. The pick is very annoying. If you survive into it, it becomes completely useless later on. Ymir, we're going to put in the B tier at the back end. This guy's utility is awesome. He's literally just like Aries in the sense if you can pick him sometimes, he's a better support. But his soul lane, because of how viable the god's so good that you can play him. You go selfishness or selflessness if you need to survive the laning phase and just play it passively. Again, I really like him into picks like the Athena. I like him into some of these Guardian picks in general. Not really Sobek, but like the Cerberus, I think it's pretty okay. You can even do decent into cab, and again, you just kind of play to farm, you play safe, you scale so well. Yes, the early game can be a bit of a druze, but as long as you're, that's not the right word, but regardless, you'll be fine as long as you just kind of play to scale if you're in one of those weaker matchups. And if you're in a matchup where you can fight him, you're actually just going to like kill people, so it's pretty dope. Zeus, Final God. Again, I know I'm speedrunning through this. We're going to put him in A tier behind Soul. This character is really good into a lot of the backliners. You go Bluestone, Triton's Conch into like Bloodbound Book, Nimble Ring, Circes. Your damage is really good. Your laning phase is solid. Your safety in team fights is good. Uh, Safety in the laning phase before you get some of your items is really hit or miss. But overall, I mean, the pick is still so strong that there's literally um, no reason to not play Zeus into some of these lower pressure backliners or even lower pressure frontliners. You're just going to absolutely feast. Again, the safety early is the problem. You could literally go Bluestone, Triton's Conch into Circe's right away if you're afraid of the safety in some matchups. And honestly, that's probably the correct move to do. The God's Pressure, again, fantastic fight, fantastic. Your autos at level 1 makes you out trade everybody. And it's kind of very soul-esque, as in you can just kind of get a billion gold up on everybody. I know I kind of ended this a little bit quick at the back end. I know I was yapping in the beginning, so I apologize for that. But thank you guys. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. I'm not going to be just the tier list guy, but I know this was really asked for. So yeah, this is all the soul laners. Obviously, these I just consider non-viable. And yeah, that's that. So let me know if you loved it, hated it, somewhere in the middle. I really do appreciate it, guys, and I will see you all extremely soon. Peace.